Okay, so I'm Professor Harper. I work at University College London, and I've been working in the fertility field for the last 30 years. And I'm really, really passionate about fertility education. Brilliant, here we go. Maybe redundant now. And what's been really wonderful over the last couple of years is to work with Gabby and Jessica, and it's really been a wonderful journey to see how we can develop this project further. So, just a disclosure, I am a partner in an academy that I run, and I run a website about women's health, and I do some paid work for people, so I just always get that out of the way. So what I'm going to cover is what the fertility education is all about, the Fertility Education Initiative, our aims, what we have done, and what next. And Jackie is going to take a little bit of this further on, but I'm just going to give an overview. So I'm not sure how much of the audience knows about female fertility, but I thought I'd just set the scene and tell you some key facts before we talk about why we actually even need fertility education. So here we have a graph that we're all very familiar with. Actually, it doesn't look on the telly. And that is that female fertility declines with age. This is something that's been established over many, many years. And the critical age is around age 35. That's when we have a significant decrease in female fertility decline. And you'll see here we also have an increase in the risk of spontaneous miscarriages as we age. And the reason for this is the quality and the quantity of a woman's eggs decreases absolutely from the minute she's born. So we're born with about 2 million eggs. By puberty, we only have a few 100,000 left. And in our whole lifetime, we will only ovulate about 400 or 500 eggs. And guys in the room, every time you ejaculate many millions of sperm, about 50, 60 million sperm, and then we just have one egg a month. And sometimes that month doesn't even have an egg. So we are concentrating on females, but we want men and women to understand about this problem. So what about IVF? We've had a lot in Fertility Fest about infertility treatments. It cannot work miracles. So here's the wonderful Louise Brown that was also part of the festival. And she had a very busy year last year. It was her 40th birthday. And IVF is always in the press. In the press yesterday, because the HFEO have just released some new figures and documents about their data. So, can it work miracles? Well, it can't. It can't help us with the low quantity and the low quality of eggs as a woman ages. So this is some data from the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Authority, and this is a couple of years of data, but if we look at every year, it's roughly the same. As I said, age 35 is critical. So what we do in the UK and in the USA, all of the data for women under 35 is bunched together. So that first column is women 34 and under. But then every couple of years becomes critical. So this is why it's broken up then into those different ages, and you can see the steep drop. So when we get to 43, 44, 45, it's just a few % chance of getting pregnant by IVF. So as I said, IVF cannot work miracles. Now this is a really important piece of work by a group led by Habema, and this group have been working at looking at data about fertility for several decades. And they looked at a model of if a woman wants a 90% chance of having her ideal family size, she wants 1, 2 or 3 children, what age does she need to start trying? So this can be a bit depressing reading. If she naturally wants 1 child, yeah, she can wait till 32. If 2, 27. If 3, 23. I don't think there's anyone in this room who maybe wanted to get pregnant that early. Maybe some, but not majority will not. So what about with IVF? Well, I shouldn't have said that maybe. What about with IVF? So is it working miracles? No, it's only added on a few years to each of those. So we see a lot of celebrities getting pregnant in their late 40s, 50s, even recently Bridget Nielsen, 53 or 54. But as we can see, and that is the data, that's not really the normal situation. We have another problem, Globally, the age that women have their children is increasing. So this is the data. The triangles are from 1995 and the blue lines are from 2015. And you can see that in every country there, the age of first birth has increased. So if we look at these countries here, it's over 30. So I said the critical age was around age 35. So if you leave it till 30 before you even start to try, then you've got a very small window of really hoping to have success. And I think everyone in this room wants those people who want to have children to have children. So this is why we feel that it was really a critical time to set up a fertility education initiative. So the initiative is led by myself, Jackie and Adam Bailey, who unfortunately couldn't be here today. And we got together in 2016, and the first thing we did was set up a fertility health summit, and we called it Choice, Not Chance. And we did this at the Royal College of Obs and Gynae, and it was like a brainstorming session to see what was needed in fertility education. Do we need this? And get some ideas about how we can take that forward. So we decided, actually when we did the summit we didn't even have a name, and we had many discussions about what we should call ourselves, and I think Fertility Education Initiative is still the perfect description. And on a slight other note, I'm trying to set up a menopause education initiative. I think we need to work on that as well, because these things are not taught to us. How are we supposed to understand if these things are not taught? So what we did is, while we decided the name, we got together some key stakeholders. So the Fertility Education Initiative is a special interest group of the British Fertility Society, so we come under their umbrella. But these other groups are also on board, the Royal College of Obs and Gynae, Sex Education Forum, Brook, etc. So we have had many meetings between the group of stakeholders and ourselves to really talk about what we can do and how we can do it. So we have now set up a website called fertilityed.uk, and some of the work Jackie's done is on there about information about fertility. And as I said, we've had many meetings to see how we can take this forward. So again, during those meetings, we discussed our aims. What do we want to achieve? And they come under three headings. We want people, so this is not just school children, we want everyone to understand human fertility, human reproduction, and male and female reproductive health. We want everyone to understand about modern families. There are now different ways of making modern families, and the HFEA data shown yesterday, provided yesterday, shows an increase in solo motherhood, the use of surrogates, and the use of women, lesbian couples coming to have treatment. So understanding modern families, societal and cultural variations in family building, and different routes to parenthood. We want people to understand reproductive technologies. So we've talked a little bit already about IVF treatment. We want to let people know what it can and cannot do. And many years ago I used to be an embryologist, and we never put down that age was an indication for going through IVF. But I've heard many people now saying that's what people want to put down. There's no real reason why they're infertile, but they are older. So is age an indication for infertility? And it shouldn't be. We shouldn't get to that stage. And we want to talk about how it might impact on how human beings are made in the future. There's a lot of discussion about things like genome editing, so we want to have those discussions. So we want to teach these to children in schools, to adults, to parents, to teachers, and to the health professionals. There's a lot of discussion about educating GPs about fertility awareness. So this is a lot of work to be done, because we are just really at the tip of the iceberg. So, as Jessica said, when we first started this project, there was no mention of the word fertility in any of the Department of Education documents around sex education or anything. Now, as far as the biology curriculum goes, I don't know if you know how the GCSEs work, but there are different boards and I've looked in detail at these. Some of them do have some information, certainly about how not to get pregnant and how not to get a sexually transmitted infection, and these are also discussed outside formal biology training in what they call the PSHE classes, where children learn about relationships and more societal things. But the word fertility didn't actually appear in any Department of Education. So last year the government put out a consultation document for people to respond to about sex education, and we got together and wrote a long piece about how we felt fertility education needed to be embedded in this. And as Jessica said, I think the awareness with events such as Fertility Fest and everything else has got this out there on people's agenda. So we were really happy that the new relationships and sex education document from the Department of Education came out in February this year, now says the facts about reproductive health, including fertility, and the potential impact of life on fertility for men and women. Brilliant, it says fertility a number of times. So we are absolutely feeling wonderful about that. But now's the big job. Now, how can that be delivered in schools and beyond? So one thing the Fertility Education Initiative has done is made some animations, and Jackie's been leading on this project, so I'm not going to mention that at all, just wanted to put it up for completeness. But we also did some research. Jackie and I are both academics, so we've written 2 scientific papers, one on the need to improve fertility awareness, and this is the paper I want to talk to you about today. This is the work that we did with Jessica and Gabby and a group of wonderful teenagers, where we spent a very snowy week in February. It was almost a total disaster. Everyone got snowed in or snowed out.
That was the only disaster.
That was the only disaster. February last year, we did this project that Gabby and Jessica led, looking at the feasibility and acceptability of theatrical and visual art to deliver fertility education to young adults. So it was very exciting. Now, there were several parts to the project. There was 2 focus groups that were done that I'm not going to talk about, one that Jessica and Gabby led, and then a few of us went to a London school for an afternoon and talked to, it was a girls' school, and we talked to them about fertility education. But the main part of it was that this is the group of wonderful youngsters. Some of them are here today. It's wonderful to see them again. We had 17 adolescents with us, and they have been split into 2 groups, and they watched 2 theatrical and 2 visual artist workshops that have been prepared. So one group watched one set and one watched the other, and I'll tell you about those in a moment. And then we had designed questionnaires that after the end of each one of these, the young people answered some questions about them, and then they also did an end of the day questionnaire. So these are the artists. I'll just quickly go through them. Timeless do wonderful events around different products, and this one was about egg freezing and about the future of egg freezing. Would it become a normal event, such as a spa day or a graduation party, that women would go to once they were of a certain age? Adam Peacock, I've been doing some work with him already. He has done some great work around the genetics gym, and he's really interested in how we might manipulate people in the future, such as through genome editing and reproductive health. And then we have Tina Reid, who always makes me cry. I'm glad she's not here. She does some really wonderful work about photos I'll never take. So she was unsuccessful with her fertility journey, and she makes these pictures using mannequins of family photos that she will never take, and they're incredibly powerful. And a wonderful collaboration of Anna Burrell and Isabel Davis. They're looking at the history, especially around miscarriage and phantom pregnancy. And then White Slate Theatre do a play called Reproduction. It's about an embryologist, which I used to be, and her deciding whether she wants to have children or not. It's a really deep play about the emotions of going through that. And Camilla Whitehill's A Lower Load brings together a number of different narratives around reproduction and the thoughts of having a family. And the last two, Stacey Greig's Choices, is about two women with very different stories. One wanting to explore solo motherhood, and the other being in a country where abortion is illegal and she wants to abort her pregnancy. And they're weaved together in a really emotional way where these two women are trying to do different things. And then lastly, Samela Seaton's Mama's Little Angels, about a young girl who goes through early menopause when she's still a teenager. So the results from the kids were, we looked at this and divided them into 4 themes. We need to learn more about reproductive science. They wanted the facts. They said, just tell us. School is a context for learning. They felt that 16 to 18 was most popular, but they said, I think it should be drip-fed throughout. Discussion time, they really wanted to open up and talk about these key issues. It felt empowering to learn and discuss things that hardly come up in my normal conversation. And lastly, art is engaging. I'm sure we all remember when art comes into our classroom. They want to know the personal stories of the artists, and it gave new life to that. So they said we should learn it at school, and they said the best age was around 16 to 18. So with the artists, I did 9 interviews. I felt they were all experts in fertility. They had their own personal journeys, and some of the words that they came up with were such as social pressure, fear, purpose, burden, inequality, talking to peers. Some of them needed time to heal before they made their art because they'd been through quite emotional journeys. And I asked them if they had negative responses to their work, and they said it was rare, but sometimes from infertile people. And one of the comments was, it was like a mystery. When they were going through this, they didn't know what to do. We got a lot of media coverage, as Jessica said, which was absolutely fantastic. So what we're doing next is we want to make a school package for teachers to be able to deliver this. Because, as I said, bringing art into schools is brilliant, but we want a national system that can be easily done. So we've got a questionnaire where we're asking kids about sex education, fertility education, do they want children, and we're also engaging the teachers. So we're rolling this out next term in school. So in conclusion, I think education's really important. We want people to be able to make informed choices about their fertility future. And we do need positive images of motherhood. We don't want this, oh my God, I forgot to have children. Okay, we don't want that age of first conception going up and up and up. People are going to miss the boat for sure, and or have years of really traumatic infertility treatment that some of us in this room have gone through, including myself. So we don't want people to leave it too late, but that would take changing the infrastructure of the support for parents in the UK, which happens in some countries but doesn't happen here. And that's my social media. I just wanted to say I am almost near completing a book aimed at the woman around about 30 who's wondering whether she should or shouldn't have children. I'm doing that with Curtis Brown. So that's my fertility education outside school, so we're not just working in school. Okay, thanks very much.